I found my marriage in a hotel elevator. The text arrived while I was chopping mint for a salad neither of us would end up eating. Room 2407. Use Clementine at the door. It lit up my wife's iPad on the counter, the one that catches all the family detritus, recipes, takeout codes, reminders to water a fern we keep forgiving. The message preview hung there like an earring forgotten in a hurry. I told myself it was work. Leela's work is an elegant tangle, brand strategist, events, a dozen people orbiting her calendar like busy moons. Clementine could have been a caterer, a florist, a password for a flower wall, whatever that is. My knife slipped and nicked a leaf. I tasted mint and copper in a small, stupid panic. Running late, Leela had said before she left, spinning in the doorway with a kiss that landed on my cheek and a lipstick shade she never wears to meetings. Client emergency at the Vesper. The Vesper is a hotel where the lobby smells like expensive linen and the elevators think they're nightclubs. Our city keeps inventing temples for people who don't pray. I texted her a dumb picture of the mint and she hearted it. I told myself to be a good man in a generous mood. Then the iPad chimed again. Love that you picked the green one. See you in 10. No name. A ... of anticipation still floating there, like breath you can't return. I turned off the stove because I didn't trust the heat. The Vesper was 8 blocks away, which meant I had a short walk to decide what story to tell myself if I found the wrong door. The air was thick and forgiving. Every window on the way reflected some version of a man I didn't recognize, a person practicing calm. I laughed, which felt like lying to my own face. Inside, the Vesper is all quiet brass and carpet that doesn't want to remember your feet. A man at the front desk had a haircut that cost as much as a train ticket. He looked at me the way good concierges do, as if he already knew whether I was going to be trouble. "Welcome back," he said, though I'd never been. "Can I help you find your evening?" "I'm meeting someone," I said, because we all are. "Upstairs." "Of course." He slid a keycard toward me as if it had been waiting. The envelope read Clementine in looping ink. The handwriting smelled like perfume I couldn't place. "Friend of the house," he explained, the euphemism neat as a folded napkin. "Violet left this for your convenience." Violet, a name made for a dress you can't afford. Clementine at the door, Violet at the desk. I felt like I'd stumbled into a fruit bowl that charged by the hour. The elevator took me, along with a couple wrapped in the kind of happiness that makes strangers sentimental. She wore a green dress that moved like water thinking about wind. He wore a ring and the unstudied pride of a man who believes he deserves the person next to him. I watched the floor numbers rise. My throat practiced what it would feel like to say hello in a voice that didn't crack. On 24, the door slid open to a smaller lobby with a sculpture that wanted to be touched. A hallway rolled out, expensive and quiet. I found 2407 and stared at it like it might admit something. The keycard was warm in my hand. "Clementine," a voice said behind me, amused without being unkind. I turned. The woman from the elevator stood there alone, the green dress now a landscape I had wandered into. Up close, she had one of those faces that invites confessions and then keeps them. She looked me up and down like she was taking an inventory she already knew by heart. "You're at the wrong door," she said, not moving, "unless you're braver than you look." "Brave isn't the word I'd choose," I said. "Possibly stupid." "Possibly honest," she countered. "I'm Myra." "Jackson," I said. My mouth had gone dry. "This key was left for me." "By Violet," she said, and let the name taste like sugar and smoke. "Violet leaves lots of things. If you open that door, you're going to want a witness or a story." Which do you recommend? Witnesses are messier, stories cost less, she said, and tonight I'm offering both. Why? I asked. Because if the world is going to be cinematic, you should check the fine print. She smiled like an elevator arriving on the right floor. Because the person who texted you about the green dress sent the same text to me last month, and because no one should have to excavate the truth alone. The door to 2407 opened, not to my key, but to a hand from inside, ringless and tan, that had learned how to be both careless and careful. A man stepped out, middle 40s, the kind who registers as handsome in donor brochures. He wore a suit that had known what it cost. Behind him, laughter, a woman. Not Leela's, but close enough that my heart paused to compare. He froze when he saw us. Then he recovered the way men like him do, with charm, as if it were a handkerchief. "Myra," he said, pleased or pretending to be, "you look like good news. And you," he added to me, "look like you're about to make a decision." "Evan," she said, and the word had no sugar at all. "This is a friend. He almost opened your little generosity." Evan, it turned out, was the Vesper's favorite patron, the sort who knew which rooms the furniture slid in and which rooms the art had anchoring screws. He stepped closer as if to herd us gently away from the threshold. From inside came a sound soft as silk falling over a chair. I felt the shape of Leela in everything and the exact outline of her not being there. I wanted to see, and I didn't. "Careful, Jackson," Evan said, tasting my name as if it were a hobby. "There's no going back once a door like this knows you." "He's not here for a door," Myra said. "He's here for a mirror." Evan's eyes flicked, quick and curious. "You recruiting for the hotel now?" "Just collecting strays," she said. "The city keeps leaving them near elevators." He laughed and, to his credit, didn't look away first. "Violet's waiting," he said, and retreated with the grace of a man who has never been told no hard enough to bruise. The door clicked. The hallway exhaled. Myra put a hand on the wall like she was checking the pulse. "Okay," she said. "Now what?" "Now I spend the night standing in a corridor, hopping not to be a cliché," I said. "You could spend it being a person instead," she said, and touched my forearm the way people do when they mean steady, not seduce. "Come down to the lounge. If she's here, we'll see her. If she isn't, we'll see ourselves." The lounge at the Vesper is a mood with a cover charge. Gold low light, a piano that makes ordinary songs sound like secrets. Myra moved through it like she'd been expected. Half the room nodded as if she'd written their favorite chapter. She steered me to a banquette that gave us a view of everything without making us part of it. "Drink?" she asked. "Whatever doesn't taste like regret," I said. She ordered something dark in short glasses and a plate of figs and honey and a cheese whose name the waiter made into a performance. It felt indecent in a way that wouldn't scandalize YouTube. The slow, certain pull of something sweet from something structured. "Tell me about Leela," Myra said, when the first drink made the night less sharp. I told her the basics. How Leela sees rooms in diagonals and possibilities, makes strangers feel like ideas. How she collects vintage coffee spoons because it's funny to dress up bitter things. How lately she laughs and then swallows the end of it, as if the world told her rations were in effect. How we've been walking carefully around the word enough. "Do you love her?" Myra asked. "Yes," I said immediately, because some answers don't want to be elegant. "I don't know if I'm loving her the way she needs right now." "That's different from not loving her enough," Myra said, "though it feels the same if you're the one with the empty bowl." "I followed her," I admitted, realizing how small the word made me sound. "You followed a text," Myra corrected, "and the version of her that text promised. Sometimes you have to track a story to see if it's a rumor. We ate the figs with our fingers. It felt too intimate and perfectly normal at once. Around us, the room trained its eyes on itself. A woman at the piano hummed "The Way You Look Tonight" like she meant it for whoever could stand to hear. Myra nodded toward the far end of the bar. "Don't turn your head," she said. "Just let the mirror do the work." In the bar's mirror, between a seam of gold leaf and the bartender's calm, I saw my wife. She was laughing in that way she laughs only when she forgets that other people will hear her. The way she laughed before anybody knew what she was good at. Her hair was pinned up in a way I'd never seen, loose enough to say accident, neat enough to say design. She wasn't alone. The man with her was Evan. He was younger, with a face people would call kind until they needed another word. He leaned in close without touching. Leela's hand hovered near his wrist and did not land. They looked like two people who'd rehearsed the word maybe and were trying to remember their lines. A sound made itself in my chest that wasn't quite a groan. Myra's knee touched mine, not by accident. "Breathe," she said. "I am," I said and proved it. "Good," she said. "What do you see?" "I see a woman who wanted to feel dangerous and politely refused," I said, surprised by my own accuracy. "I see a man who thinks he's a kindness and isn't." "Do you see yourself?" Myra asked. "In the mirror," I said. "A man trying to decide whether to be a hero or a witness." "Be something quieter," she said. "Be a choice she can choose. If you storm, she either retreats or performs. If you vanish, she invents. If you arrive," Myra added, "you give both of you a chance to tell the truth without props." "Arrive how?" I asked. She slid out of the booth. "Like you belong," she said and held out a hand. "Come dance. Make a shape that has room for her to join." "I don't dance," I lied. "You'll let me lead," she said, already swaying. The piano obliged. The dance floor at the Vesper is really just an agreement, 8 feet of rug between tables where people decide to be fluid. Myra stepped into me with a certainty that felt like instruction. Her palm found my shoulder. My hand found the sensible small of her back, warm through fabric. We didn't press ourselves into a spectacle. We made a curve the room couldn't quite ignore. We turned once, twice. I learned her rhythm. It wasn't seduction. It was choreography, how to suggest without stealing. Her perfume smelled like something fresh cut at night, the kind of green that lives in secrets. "Tell me what's happening in the mirror without breaking eye contact," she said, soft and professional and almost funny. "She sees me," I said. "She touches her throat. She smiles. The man says something like, 'Go,' or he says nothing and the space says it for him." "Good," Myra said. "Now don't make a speech, make a place." Leela was beside us before the song ended. She didn't step between us. She placed herself near, the way you do when you've decided to be brave and don't want to spook it. "Hi," she said, breathless, like the elevator had given her back the oxygen it borrowed. "I didn't expect." "Me," I said. "My husband," she said, and looked at Myra with professional admiration. "And a better dancer than he tells people." "I'm Myra," Myra said, friendly as a secret passage. "I borrow men for a living, occupational hazard." Leela laughed, and the sound landed in my sternum like relief. "Thank you for returning this one in decent condition." Myra let our hands untangle. "I'll send your drinks to a table," she said to me alone, in a tone that meant, "Go have your conversation." Then, to Layla, in the tone women use when they recognize the shape of another woman's worry, "He didn't look behind any doors." Leela nodded once, too grateful to hide it. We found a small table near the piano. My pulse had finally learned to walk. We looked at each other like the mirror had asked us a question, and we wanted the same answer. "Do you want me to explain?" she asked. "Yes," I said, "but slowly. I'd like to keep hearing your voice." She told me. The client emergency was real. The green dress was for a sponsored dinner Leela hadn't wanted to skip because she hates disappointing people who can make a room generous. The text about 2407 wasn't hers. It was forwarded by a publicist who sends everything to everyone and calls it efficiency. The man at the bar, his name was Theo, had a smile that looks like sincerity if you squint. He'd been seeing someone else. He wanted Leela to be the reason he felt better about himself. "I don't want to be anyone's reason except ours," she said, "but I liked feeling chosen. That's ugly to say aloud. I came because I didn't want to hide, or maybe I came to see whether I would." "Did you?" I asked. "I almost," she admitted. "And then I didn't. And then I saw you dancing with a woman in a green dress who looked like the kind of danger men file under education." She smiled, soft and rueful. "Was she a test you passed?" "She was a witness who made a place," I said. "And no, I didn't pass. Passing is for people who think they're graded. I took her hand. I just kept choosing you 1 second at a time with a little help." We didn't kiss. We could have. It would have been the movie version. Instead, we rested our foreheads together and let the piano do the part where a narrator sums up the lesson, which, if you asked me, sounded like this: "Keep showing up before the doors get names." "I miss us," Leela said, the words landing between our hands like something delicate you're allowed to touch. "We're here," I said. "We're just learning a new dance." Myra sent the drinks. She didn't interrupt. She walked past once and tapped the table with one finger, an officiant pronouncing a quiet benediction. I watched her outfit catch the light and thought about the elevator, the corridor, the little violences of suspicion. I thought about how easy it is to borrow trouble and how difficult to return it without scratches. "Come home," Leela said finally, "before I mistake the Vespers lighting for goodness." We went. The elevator hummed a ballad at our backs. In the lobby, the concierge gave us a look practiced for couples who have just paid a different kind of bill. Outside, the city made room for us. We walked without speaking, which is a language we're fluent in when we remember. At home, the mint still waited in the sink. I tore a leaf and handed it to her. We tasted it like an oath, fresh bite heat. "Who is Violet?" I asked. "A rumor the Vesper tells about itself," she said, leaning on the counter as if kitchens were safer than hotels. "A way to make people feel like characters in a story when they're really just tired." "And Myra, a woman who deserves the good part in someone else's," Leela said. She touched my mouth with her thumb just below where you can press a promise without anybody calling it poetry. "Tonight I wanted to feel noticed. You showed me I was. I'm sorry I needed the wrong mirror to remember." "I wanted to be brave," I said. "I was mostly jealous. It looked like bravery from a distance." She laughed into my neck, which is the kind of intimacy you can broadcast without anyone sending a complaint. We cleaned the kitchen like people making amends to the space where the evening almost took a different shape. Then we went to bed and let the night be vivid without being explicit. A long kiss that turned into a longer conversation. The slow choreography of hands learning again where they belong. A shared breath that felt like signing our names to something we still wanted to keep. We didn't hurry. We didn't perform, we arrived. Later in the quiet, my phone lit with a text from an unknown number. "You did good," it read. "If the elevator remembers your faces, remind it you took the stairs." Myra, of course. I typed back, "Thank you for the floor," and put the phone face down. Leela stirred and threw a leg over mine like a claim that required no witnesses. In the morning, the city will invent new doors for us to mistrust. Someone will whisper a fruit into a keyhole and call it adventure. But I learned the route I prefer. A lobby where people know your name because you kept choosing it. An elevator where the mirror shows you both at once. A kitchen where mint tastes like truth and not like proof. And on nights when the air goes brass and my hands remember the shape of a key card, I'll dance with my wife in the living room, poorly and entirely, until the elevator in my head opens onto what we built and says, softly, home.